Welcome to SmithWeekly Discussions, an occasional program for our members of SmithWeekly Research. Please note this program is a private discussion and everything contained herein is for entertainment and educational purposes only. With that, we hope you're in a comfortable position along with your favorite beverage to enjoy the discussion. We remind our audience to examine our show notes attached to each of our shows to better understand how our program functions. Before we get into our discussion today, we want to say thanks for questions coming from our audience of SmithWeekly, including Jeff S., Mark R., Jack T., and Paul M. On the program today, we've got a returning guest back to update. Mr. Mark English is on the podcast. Mark is the managing director of Auric Mining, a Western Australia-focused gold producer and project developer with conventional open pit operations in the Kalgoorlie and Norseman regions of Western Australia's goldfields, including the operating Munda gold mine, exploration and development projects, including Spargoville Loded Dog and Lindsay's projects. Auric Mining also holds the Burbanks processing facility, which is expected to provide an in-house processing facility in the coming years to the company. Auric Mining is listed on the Australian Securities Exchange under the symbol AWJ. Mr. English, it's good to have you back on the program. Welcome.
Fantastic, Andrew. Delighted to be back.
Yeah, Mark, good to have you back on. And you guys, of course, have been busy since we last spoke, and the gold market seems to be moving right along in our favor. Well, thanks for coming back to update. Why don't we first get right into company updates? The company has initiated first ore shipments from the Munda mine starter pit, hauling to the Lakewood mill for processing under toll arrangement, an expected total of about 60,000 tons of ore for this first phase of processing. Talk about that.
Yes, Andrew, we're delighted with the way everything's progressing. We started mining the starter pit at Munda in May this year. It's going to take about 5 to 6 months to mine the starter pit ore body. And we've been trucking the ore up to Kalgoorlie, which is about 100 kilometres away now for a couple of weeks. And it started processing through the Lakewood mill last Sunday, the 12th of October. And today's a very auspicious day for us because later on today will be our maiden gold pour at the Lakewood mill.
Mark, great to hear, and congratulations on that achievement there, and looking forward to further production coming out of that and further ramp up there at Munda. This is a good time. Maybe we'll talk about cost profile for just a moment. At Munda, just give us a bit of a highlight there as to what you guys would expect the cost profile to be once it's up and running.
Okay, so I'll talk in Australian dollar terms. Everybody knows that gold is principally quoted in US dollars, but in Aussie dollars, the starter pit is going to be more expensive than where we believe the main pit will be. That's necessarily because of just the high startup costs, grading roads, building infrastructure, getting portable accommodation out there. So as I said, Andrew, we're going to do about 125,000 tonnes in the starter pit. When we did that design for the starter pit, we estimated to produce around 6,100 ounces of gold. In AUD terms, our profile is going to be around near $3,300 Australian, give or take 10%.
And Mark, after that, as you guys get up and running steady state, everything's going well, and you guys are into the main pit, any expectation on how you would see that looking from a cost perspective?
Oh, it's changed so much, Andrew. The last time we did a scoping study is now redundant and out of date. We've got a lot of work that we are going to have to do in 2026, and we'll be completing that work throughout 2026. And towards the end of next year, we'll be announcing a detailed scoping study and all those cost profiles and input costs. With the rising gold price, Andrew, as you would appreciate, the whole dynamics changed. You know, the amount of dirt you're going to move, the cutoff grade of your gold, all those input costs are going to change so substantially. I really couldn't give your listeners any feel for our costs going forward.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that as we move ahead here. Well, before we move into the other projects, Mark, during September, the company released its half-year results ended 30 June. Talk about those operational results and your expectations to finish up the year.
Yeah, so those results that we announced 30th of June, so that's our half year. we're a 31st December year-end company. Those results principally, Andrew, are in relation to the Jeffreys Find gold mine. We wrapped up the arrangements with Jeffreys Find in that period. You may recall that we were doing a joint venture arrangement with a company called BML Ventures. Look, our revenue, we're still a small business, Andrew, at this point in time. Our revenue was circa $8.5 million Australian. We made a net profit before tax of a bit over $4 million. After we added back some non-cash items, depreciation, amortization, mine rehabilitation costs, we had an adjusted net profit of about 5.8 million, which is a great place to be for a small company. We've been able to not raise equity because we've been able to monetize our assets and produce our own operating cash flow.
With that, at Jeffreys Find, you guys are in wrap-up stages there. Expected final revenues, I believe, from the project are supposed to come in as far as the final payments there with the partner towards the end of the year. Any comments there and outlook as to when you'll see that be 100% and closed out?
Yeah, we've received, subsequent to the 30th of June, we've received another $1.4 million profit distribution. So there's not much more to come, Andrew. The rehabilitation costs, that work is being done at the moment. So Jeffreys Find all up, Andrew, from the total time that we bought the project and our development costs in cash, about $1.5 million. And we're going to get a return out of that somewhere between $14 and $15 million over a 3-year period.
Very well. Definitely, it's been a good project for the company and helped the company to advance towards some of these other projects and acquisitions you guys have done subsequently to that. Appreciate the update on that, Mark, and looking forward to seeing that finish up. Why don't we shift over briefly here to the company announced in September as well that it had completed the acquisition of the Burbanks processing plant. Mark, talk about that news as well as the initial focus there to potentially put this plant back into operation in the coming years.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. So the Burbanks facility has been around for quite a while. It's located about 10 kilometres southwest of Coolgardie, so nice and close to a fairly major town. Coolgardie is about 40 k's from Kalgoorlie, so that your listeners most probably know Kalgoorlie better than Coolgardie. So you're talking only a very short distance from time. The Burbanks facility was originally required by Ramelius for the Wattle Dam deposit. I'm sure a lot of your listeners have heard of the Wattle Dam deposit in West Australia. It was an outstanding asset for Ramelius and was actually the project that got Ramelius going. So this plant, Andrew, hasn't been operational for about 5 or 6 years. It last operated in 2019. We've acquired it for a very cheap bargain basement price. We bought it off the mortgagee in possession. There was some financing issues with the previous vendors. And why have we bought it? We've bought it principally for a variety of factors. 1 is location. 2, it's got bitumen road to the front gate. 3, it's got 3-phase power. 4, it's got water. It's got water bores, water licenses. It's got tailing storage facilities, it's on granted mining leases, and it's fully permitted. So our acquisition cost was $4.4 million, which is a notional price, okay? The reason we did it was principally if you started off with a clean piece of paper, it would cost you well more than $4.4 million to get it to that stage. And more importantly, the time saving is substantial. It's our estimate that we've most probably knocked 3 to 5 years off our timeline if we were starting from a clean piece of paper. So we've already engaged mining and geotech and metallurgists to start work on what to do with the mill. Okay, so there's various options. It's currently gazetted at a 200,000 tonne per annum plant, which is tiny. So we're looking at either A, just getting it up and running as a 200,000 tonne plant, B, getting it up and running with the ability to scale it up, or C, basically bulldozing what's there and starting from afresh, okay? So they're the 3 options that we're considering, the 3 options that we're looking at, and what we've given the brief to the consulting engineers to come back to us with some high-level numbers and some high-level details.
Mark, thank you for going over that. Interested to see what you guys decide there as you guys continue to study the initial approach and some of the things you guys want to do there. I think it is a great solution going forward for you guys to have an in-house processing solution, and it's so centralized to the project area that you guys have presently and where you want to operate. With the existing tailings there, is there any recovery opportunities given the price of gold? And is there anything else there as far as any recovery opportunities as part of remediation, or do you see that there's not really any opportunities on that front?
Andrew, that's a magnificent question. Lots of people have asked us the same question. We settled on this project 21 days ago, so we've only had the keys to the front gate for 3 weeks. At this point in time, we haven't done anything in that regard, but it is something that we need to consider, okay? Particularly as a lot of the tailings in there will have come out of the Wattle Dam deposit. As I said, a very high-grade deposit. And with the price of gold in AUD terms today, it cracked 6,700 Australian earlier this morning. You know, the value of what's in those tailings dam storage facilities could be substantial.
Well, looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with on that front as well, Mark. That's good information and possibly another adder to the production profile as you guys continue to evaluate and investigate there at site. Well, why don't we shift over to exploration work at Spargoville as well as Loaded Dog, two key exploration projects for the company. Any updates, Mark, on when you guys will be back on those projects to continue drilling? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, Andrew, I'll talk about Spargoville first. We did a couple of programs in 2024. Just so that everybody's aware, our focus this year has purely been on the Munda project and getting that Munda project up into production. So we haven't gone back and really done any work at Spargoville now for about 18 months or so. We have got a program planned in Q1 next year. We want to go back to both a fugitive prospect and anomaly 37 prospect, and we want to do an RC drilling program there. They're on granted tenure. We don't have to do any further heritage clearance work to get into Spargoville. So within the next 6 months, we expect to have the drill rigs operating at Spargoville. At Loaded Dog, that was a project that we bought again sometime earlier this year. I think we settled that in March 2025. We've just completed a heritage survey with the Ngaji people, the traditional owners for this area. We've got to go back and do a little bit more work with the Ngaji people sometime in November this year. And again, subject to the clearance for the drill program, it's our intention to also do that program in Q1 next year. So we believe that we'll most probably, they're not too far apart, Andrew. They're most probably only about, 100 kilometres apart. So we'll most probably do the first pass program at Loaded Dog, and then we'll go up and finish the program up at Spargoville.
Good luck with getting everything set up, and looks like we can expect to have a sequenced exploration program coming up in the coming months. That'll be good, certainly, as you guys continue operations there at Munda, so no shortage of things happening, both from the potential for further ounce add discovery and also existing production coming out of Munda as you guys continue to ramp up operations there towards the main pit. Well, with that, why don't we shift over briefly to Lindsay's gold project? Just talk about status and updates there.
Yeah, Lindsay's has been a bit disappointing in a timing perspective. We entered into a contract in February this year to buy the Lindsay's project. The project is outstanding. We think the Lindsay's project will be a substantial value adder to Auric. The project went through an administration, Chapter 11, I think it might be called in America. And unfortunately, there has been some issues come about from our due diligence. At this point in time, the vendor cannot give us clear title to the projects. It's caught up in what's called the Warden's Court in Western Australia. The Warden's Court's a specific court in WA that just deals with mining issues. We've actually got a meeting on it tomorrow to see how we can resolve the issue and move forward. As I've said to you, Andrew, offline, with the current gold price where it is, Auric needs to go exceptionally hard in our development and our exploration. We believe we're in the gold bull market. For how long, who knows? So at this point in time, we've got to go hard whilst the price is there.
Mark, absolutely agreed with that. And I think this fills in really as a pipeline development project. So certainly not an immediate need given your guys' focus over at Munda. And then, of course, the exploration and expansion work with projects that you do have. So really look at this as a pipeline project, and you guys will get those kinks sorted out in due course, or maybe not. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens on updates. But certainly a pipeline project as far as our view goes on it. One more thing, we'll get to capital structure in just a moment, Mark, but unless you had any comments on any other of the projects, Chalice West or anything else there.
Chalice West has been a project that we've done a lot of work on. It's a big project. It's most probably our most greenfields project. We believe that Spargoville and Loded Dog are a bit more brownfields. Chalice West is going to, we'll keep doing work there. But at this point in time, we'd prefer to be concentrating our efforts on the brownfields and or development. So Chalice West has mostly fallen behind a little bit, Andrew, just because, as I keep saying to you and your listeners, we want to keep our production profile growing.
Yet another pipeline project for you guys to spend time and capital on when the time merits to do so and makes sense as you guys focus on current gold price and production. So very good information there, Mark. I appreciate that. On capital structure here, why don't you give us an update, and also probably for some new audience listening in, talk about where you guys stand as far as current cash on hand, any guidance that you want to give for the rest of the year there, and then also, because we do have some new audience, the current shares outstanding and the major shareholders.
Okay, first off, the current shares outstanding is 186 million. So we're still a pretty tight structure. The top 20 own about between 46 and 48% of the company. We only have one substantial shareholder, which is a gentleman out of Melbourne in Victoria. The directors, myself and my family, are the second largest shareholder. The directors collectively, between the three of us, own about 12% of the business. So the structure is pretty good. At this point in time, we have around 1,400 shareholders. So there's quite a few smallish shareholders at the bottom end of the spectrum. There's some unlisted options on issue. Most of those unlisted options have got hurdles before they grant. So we've got to hit production of 40,000 ounces of gold, 60,000 ounces of gold, 70,000 ounces of gold before those options get vested. At this point in time, our market cap's around 55 million. Again, pretty small for a company of what we are doing and what we are achieving. Our cash at the end of June was around $11 million. That cash has come down substantially since then, Andrew. So we bought the Burbanks project. And of course, when you buy the project in Western Australia, you pay the goods and services tax in addition. So our cash out to buy the Burbanks mill was about $5 million. We've been mining at Munda now since 30th of June, 4 months, June to October. Our mine costs run at about 1.5 million a month. So of course, we've burnt again around $5 million out of that. So our cash as we speak today is circa about $1.2 million in the bank. But as I said to your listeners earlier, Black Cat produces gold for us today. That will get shipped to the refinery, and then there'll be gold sales within the fortnight. So we expect a substantial uplift in our cash before mid-November this year.
Thank you for that. Good timing. Looks like you guys have got this operation down quite well and the budget accordingly. So I appreciate you going through that, and just in time here to receive some payments on first gold coming out of Munda. So congratulations once again on that. Looking forward to further results as you guys can announce those. Well, Mark, before we wrap up here, just wanted to get your quick thoughts. Any thoughts on the gold market here? I think it would be probably not doing a good service here not to ask your opinion of the market and the gold price at this point.
It's a big question, Andrew, isn't it? The gold price in US dollars is outstanding. The gold price in Aussie dollar is outstanding. It bodes well for us as a gold producer. I'm not sure what it means for the world. It means I think the world's in a bit of a problem. We all know the the issues in Ukraine and the Middle East. I think we all know about the debt issues in the world. I fear for America that they can't get their finances sorted through Congress and be able to get the money flowing to the government employees in America. That doesn't fill me with confidence. But from a gold perspective, as I said to you earlier in this podcast, Andrew, I think we're in a gold bull market. How long it's going to go for, who knows? Where it is in that market, not sure, but by God, it's robust. We cannot emphasize that we thought we were superstars in 2023 and 2024, selling gold in Aussie terms at $3,500 an ounce. At one stage, we sold gold at the highest ever Aussie gold price at 3,030, and that is less than 2 years ago. So in today's price, Aussie gold price today is about 6,750. I'm not sure where it's going to get to, Andrew, except that I think it's going to stay exceptionally high in the short to medium term. And even, quite frankly, even if it drops 10%, Andrew, it's going to drop down to 6,000 Aussie. It's still an amazing price.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you for giving us your opinion on that. And there's going to be some fluctuations in the price. That's to be expected, and certainly prepare accordingly for that. At the same time, certainly it indicates quite a few problems on various fronts. And at the same time, too, you have a marketplace, the broad market, speaking of that, and how that can impact our sector as well, and temporarily impact the price of the underlying physical as well for a short period of time. But I do think over the long haul, we will definitely see higher prices. And of course, they've been setting records in Aussie dollar terms for many years, and now starting to set records in the final currencies as we continue to witness irresponsibility at these government levels. So I really appreciate your thoughts on that. Well, why don't we leave it there for now on this update, Mark? For potential investors who are listening in, Auric Mining has a market capitalization of about 54 million Australian dollars. Why should the company be considered within the institutional, family office, and retail investors portfolio at this stage?
Because we're a new company. We listed on the ASX in February 2021. So we've only been a listed company for a bit over 4 years. We've achieved our hurdles. When we listed on the ASX, we always had a strategy of acquiring small gold projects that we could turn into cash. We've done that at Jeffreys Find together with our joint venture partner. We're now doing it at Munda, and we're doing that 100% Auric. We've got our own workforce. We're dry hiring the plant and equipment for the starter pit. When we get into the main pit, Andrew will start to build our own mining fleet. We've got a great track record in acquisition at Burbanks, the same at Lindsay's. We see Lindsay's and Munda as our two growth assets and our growth story. And we see the exploration potential at Spargoville and at Loded Dog to give us the kicker to build our resources. We all know that you go into that CapEx to start to refurb a mill or build a mill, you need to have enough volume to justify that management decision. So from our perspective, we need to build our resources. We're very conscious of that fact, Andrew. And the only way we're going to build our resources is either A, through the drill bit, or B, through acquisition. So we're very focused in the Kalgoorlie region. Auric's mantra is to remain in the Kalgoorlie region within about 100-kilometre radius of Kalgoorlie. That's where we want to stay. There's always going to be projects dropping out of majors. There's some big players around us: South African Goldfields, Northern Star, Black Cat, West Gold, Pantoro. They're going to have projects that don't fit their profile, that they mostly will want to exit. And there'll be smaller companies that most probably won't be able to raise the capital that they need to keep their exploration focus. So we believe we're in a sweet spot. Our management team is very strong, and we're going to stay in gold in Kalgoorlie.
Mark, thank you for that. And certainly as you guys progress here, improving those margins through a future processing facility of some type, certainly we can see the upside value there as well. For further information, Mark, how can folks contact the company?
Best has come directly to me. My email address is menglish@auricmining.com.au. Our website's pretty good. They can get a lot of information off our website, Andrew. But anybody that wants to ask me detailed questions or a bit further information, I'm very happy to receive their email and I'll respond quite promptly.
Mark, well, thank you for that. And thank you for the update on Auric mining. Keep up the efforts, and we're looking forward to having you back in 2026 to update.
Thanks, Andrew. A pleasure.